It's back-to-back top 10 wins for Alex Eala. What a fabulous week she's having. A fabulous month on the grass as well.
3 days, 3 elite opponents, 3 straight set victories. And now the entire tennis world is asking a question nobody expected to ask this week. Who is Alex Eala? And who is going to stop her? Because right now, nobody has an answer. Berlin was supposed to be just another stop on the road to Wimbledon, a warm-up tournament, a final chance for the biggest stars in women's tennis to fine-tune their games before stepping onto the most prestigious stage in the sport. Instead, Berlin became the stage for something nobody saw coming. A 19-year-old wildcard from the Philippines walked into the tournament with almost no expectations. Days later, she had turned the entire draw upside down. And suddenly, one of the biggest stories in tennis wasn't about the established champions. It was about a teenager who refused to follow the script. The moment seemed ordinary. The crowd settled into their seats. Commentators exchanged their predictions. Fans expected another routine match. Then Alex Eala stepped onto the court. Calm, focused, almost expressionless. At first glance, there was nothing unusual about her. No dramatic entrance. No superstar aura. No signs that history was about to unfold. But what happened next would send shockwaves through women's tennis. Because Alex wasn't here to gain experience. She wasn't here to enjoy the moment. She wasn't here to prove she belonged. She was here to win. And that difference changed everything. The first challenge standing in her way was Donna Vekic, a proven champion, an experienced grass court player, fresh off winning the Queen's Club Championship. Most observers expected the Croatian star to move through the match comfortably. After all, wild cards aren't supposed to make deep runs. They're supposed to create a few interesting moments before reality takes over. That's how the story usually goes. But Alex Eala had other plans. From the opening games, she played with a confidence that felt completely out of place for someone ranked outside the elite tier of the sport. Her movement was sharp. Her timing was perfect. Her shot selection was fearless. Instead of reacting to Vekic's game, she dictated the pace herself, point after point, game after game, until something unexpected happened. The favorite looked uncomfortable. The wild card looked in control. And before anyone could fully process what they were watching, it was over. Alex Eala had defeated Donna Vekic, a major upset, a shocking result, but perhaps just a one-time surprise. At least that's what everyone wanted to believe, because the alternative was much harder to accept. What if this wasn't luck? What if this was the beginning of something bigger? The answer arrived in the next round, and it arrived in the form of Elina Svitolina. Now, if you're not a hardcore tennis fan, let me explain why that matchup mattered so much. Svitolina isn't just one of the best players in the world. She's one of the most dangerous players on grass. A Wimbledon champion, one of the biggest servers in women's tennis. A player capable of ending matches before opponents even find their rhythm. Facing Svitolina on grass is like standing in front of a speeding train. Most players spend an entire match trying to survive. Alex Eala walked onto the court, looking like she expected to win. That confidence alone was remarkable. What followed was unbelievable. Instead of being overwhelmed by Svitolina's power, Alex absorbed it, redirected it, neutralized it. She read serves that have troubled world-class opponents. She anticipated patterns. She attacked opportunities. And perhaps most impressively, she never looked intimidated. Not once. The teenager from the Philippines wasn't just competing with a former Wimbledon champion. She was outplaying her. When the final point landed, the crowd erupted. Commentators struggled to find the right words. Social media exploded. And suddenly the conversation changed. Nobody was talking about a lucky upset anymore. Nobody was talking about a feel-good story. People started asking a completely different question. Could Alex Eala actually be one of the most dangerous players in this tournament? Then came the third test. Elina Svitolina, a player known for something even more difficult to beat than power. Patience, experience, mental toughness. Svitolina doesn't destroy opponents with overwhelming force. She breaks them down, point by point, mistake by mistake. She turns matches into psychological battles. And against young players, that formula usually works. The emotional high from a career-defining victory often leads to a crash. The focus slips. The energy fades. The dream run comes to an end. Everyone expected that moment to arrive against Svitolina. It never did. Instead, Alex looked stronger than ever, more composed, more confident, more certain of herself. The pressure that normally overwhelms young players seemed to have the opposite effect on her. She became calmer, sharper, more dangerous. The deeper she went into the match, the more obvious it became that this wasn't a player surviving on momentum. This was a player discovering exactly how good she could be. And once again, the result was the same. Straight sets. Another elite opponent defeated. Another statement delivered to the tennis world. At that point, the evidence became impossible to ignore. 3 matches, 3 world-class opponents, 3 victories, 3 completely different playing styles solved one after another. That isn't luck. That isn't coincidence. That's excellence. And perhaps the most remarkable part of all, the way she carried herself. Watch Eala between points. After a winner, after an error, after break point. Her reaction barely changes. She walks back to the baseline with the same calm expression, the same routine, the same focus. No panic, no frustration, no signs of self-doubt. That level of emotional control is rare, especially for a teenager competing against some of the best players on earth, because talent can take you far, but belief takes you further. The difference between a promising prospect and a future champion often comes down to one thing: conviction. The moment a player stops hoping they belong and starts knowing they belong. And in Berlin, it looked like Eala found that conviction. The timing couldn't be more significant, because Wimbledon is right around the corner, and grass rewards exactly the qualities she's displaying right now. Quick decisions, fearless shot making, aggressive positioning, confidence under pressure. These aren't temporary strengths. They're weapons, and they're becoming sharper with every match. A few weeks ago, mentioning Eala as a Wimbledon threat would have sounded ridiculous. Today, it sounds entirely possible. That's how quickly everything has changed. But perhaps the biggest impact of this story extends far beyond tennis. Across the Philippines, millions of people are watching. Young athletes are watching. Kids with rackets and impossible dreams are watching. They're seeing someone who comes from where they come from, someone who looks like them, someone who grew up thousands of miles away from tennis's traditional powerhouses, and she's beating the very players they once thought were untouchable. That kind of representation matters. It changes perceptions. It changes possibilities. It changes futures. Whether this run ends tomorrow or continues all the way to Wimbledon glory, one thing is already certain. Eala has changed the conversation. The tennis world may still see her as an underdog, but Berlin is telling a different story. A story where the established stars are no longer the hunters. They're becoming the hunted. And at the center of it all stands a 19-year-old wild card from the Philippines who has spent one unforgettable week turning expectations into dust. Now, only one question remains. Is this the beginning of a new era, or simply the most spectacular breakthrough of a young career? Nobody knows yet, but that's exactly why the world can't stop watching. Because sometimes in sports, you can feel history beginning before it fully arrives. And right now, that feeling is impossible to ignore. The rankings still say Eala is chasing the world's best players. Berlin is starting to suggest the world's best players may soon be chasing her. The rankings may still say that Eala is chasing the world's best players. But after what happened in Berlin, that narrative feels increasingly outdated. In just a matter of days, a 19-year-old wild card from the Philippines defeated 3 elite opponents, each with a completely different style, and did it with a level of composure far beyond her years. More importantly, she didn't look surprised by her success. She looked prepared for it. Now, as the tennis world turns its attention toward Wimbledon, one question remains unanswered. Was Berlin the start of something extraordinary, or simply a glimpse of what Eala is capable of becoming? Nobody knows yet, but that's what makes this story impossible to ignore. Because every great champion has a moment when the world first begins to notice. A moment when potential transforms into belief. A moment when the impossible suddenly feels inevitable. Berlin may have been that moment for Eala. Whether this run ends tomorrow or becomes a foundation of a remarkable career, one thing is already certain. She has forced the tennis world to pay attention. And sometimes that's how history begins. Not with a trophy, but with a statement. A statement that says the future has arrived. And her name is Eala.